Philadelphia. I'll tell you what's going on. This whole team is constipated. Thank you, Lane Johnson, for perfectly putting this in my head. And now I understand everything. This is why wins just aren't fucking wins. And I am fucking livid. I have reached my limit because on Thursday, when I was talking to you for a quick minute, it's just about figuring out, is this coach or QB? Well, check mark, fucking check. Goddamn, Mark, it's the coach. It's a constipated offense, and they have no idea how to get the shit out. They've tried prune juice. They've tried sunflower seeds, push-ups, more water, less coffee, and guess what? Still in the same fucking place that this team has been for over a year now. And it is not all Nick Sirianni's fault because Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie can't figure out how to fucking keep a quarterback and a coach together. It's ridiculous. And to think that Doug Peterson is actually like a phenomenal coach and we bought into all that and it's because he won the Super Bowl in the way he did. Nope. That was because of Howie Roseman, analytics, and taking the decision-making out of the head coach. And that is carried on since Chip Kelly left this building. Do you realize that? This team has not had a functional quarterback and coach combo since 2012. You know how long? 12 years. Don't tell me that moving on from Andy Reid was the right time and right thing and to buy into Howie Roseman and the program. He is running fucking laps around this organization because they can't put two fucking pennies together to understand that sometimes building and destroying actually gets more and more confusing when you build a football team, and that's what this has looked like this entire time. And when you play the worst fucking team of all time on Sunday and put up barely a victory, shout at the fans, which has been talked ad nauseum at this point. And we know exactly why, too, because Nick Sirianni has no idea who he is. That's why it looks like what it looks like. He's trying to be such a people pleaser because he's trying to hold on to his job or show value or whatever. And what does he decide to do? Shave his fucking head. That tells me. And everyone probably looks at you and me who react like that to when we see the news just before game time that Nick Sirianni's got a haircut change is totally normal. It's whatever. Who cares? It's a buzz cut. He's a head coach, not for a guy who is built on sunshine, rainbows, gardens, visors, and beautiful locks. That is a sudden change out of nowhere that unless it is with cause, intention in mind, someone that has cancer and you want to be with them along that journey, that I understand completely, but it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like Nick decided just to shave his head, and as somebody that has done that, I know you have considered it or have done it in your life. It means you needed a change or you were a little lost or you were looking for something because the hair is just not working for you anymore. And it's those small things that maybe probably get too much of a microscope here in Philadelphia. And we might not know football. We might not know when to run properly, when to throw properly, but we sure as shit know when someone is psychologically done. That is our God's gift of green earth to Philadelphia, is to know when someone just doesn't have it, isn't in the right place, and you can smell it from a mile away. Rarely has the Philadelphia fan base missed on someone being superstar potential. And quite frankly, we probably hang on to the fact that our own guys have the potential to be superstar players a little too much, but we sure as shit know when they don't have. And it might take a while, and it might take a while to crescendo, but Nick Sirianni does not have it because he doesn't know what he wants to run. He's listening to everybody. He isn't like, this is who I am, and this is what I like to do. And yes, you can call that puppet, you can call that whatever, but I don't know what that man likes or doesn't like to do other than putting patches and t-shirts and everything else to Bryce Harper it up in here as much as he possibly can. And I understand where Jason Kelce is coming from. Of course he's passionate. Of course he loves this team. He's probably like one of the coolest dudes in that room, which makes it so hard for a lot of guys, especially when Jalen Hurts comes out in his press conference and even says, we told Nick, just be yourself, man. That's not yourself. That's somebody else's version of you. Like there's Stoutland's fingerprints on here. You can kind of see Kellen Moore, and then it just kind of suddenly goes right back to we're running the run and shoot. And here you go, AJ Brown. And granted, that could be Jalen Hurts. That could be AJ. Like, hey, this is our best route combo. It's what we're comfortable with. Okay, but don't let that completely deter the offense from something that's functional works. And for what it's worth, of course, Jalen played a clean game, a good game, and I would say a great game in the second half. It was great to see. But against this team, it should have been 45 to 17. I'll give Rodney the fucking field goal block for a return for a touchdown. Great. Good for him. That offense should have been killed, slaughtered, and put away. And this team is not able to do that because Nick Sirianni is not that. And I still don't know what he is, other than he can get mad. He can talk shit. He can rally guys, kinda. Somebody in that locker room loves him, but I'm guessing that there's a lot of guys that don't, or think he's too corny, or like, what do you actually do here? You add all this together with trying to wait for Vic Fangio for 2 years, trying to build all this other random shit around it while it happens, and like, it's crazy because Cooper DeJean is exactly who I thought he was, and that you are gonna fall in love with that man now that he is way further along than I thought. And that's great. And this is just one game against the Browns. I'm not trying to hype it up, but man, if him and Quinyon Mitchell work out, holy hell. Holy hell. Sidebar, do you see why I believe Cooper DeJean should be playing safety in the future? Just a nose for the goddamn ball. You can put him up in press. Like, I would never, ever suggest that he is this player, but he just reminds me a lot of Malcolm Jenkins. A lot. Definitely not as strong of a leader, in my opinion, but who cares? That dude can hit, cover, do a lot of different things. I'm so glad to see him and Q in the future, and we know we can check that box off. And I feel as though, because of all this bullshit that we're talking about today, you're gonna see more control from Vic Fangio and whatever Howie decided to do with these Georgia players. I hope that eventually we get to a point in the season where we know for sure 100% that Kellen Moore is calling what he wants to call. Just going back to Nick Sirianni doesn't know who he is. Why is he stepping in to call defensive plays? No. Nick, literally everything that you decide you want to get involved in screws everything up. That's not what a game manager does. A game manager is not here to suddenly jump in and say, hey, I need this here right now. No, that is your coordinator's job. You are there to make sure that they don't play bumper cars with each other, that you're communicating. Like, it's just, how the hell is Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio supposed to follow a philosophy of shit, of constipation? How do you build a game plan around somebody who just wants to take a shit every single game and can't? Just wants to explode with diarrhea points all over the end zone. And then, like, that's the game plan. Hope I can shit today. Me too. Yeah, you? AJ, you into shit today? Yes, that sounds great. And if that happens, the offense does look good. Jalen Hurts throwing go balls fucking all day. Great. But unless that happens, you're going to see this ball game forever, which is what annoys the shit out of me in this season. I don't care about the wins. I care about the wins if they're blowouts, significance, dominance, and we're never going to get that. We're never going to get that because we're just waiting for somebody to shit. And the defense plays like that. Did the offense take a shit? No? Great. We got to get a plunger and see what we can do, and hopefully it'll take a shit. It's why we kind of like put into our heads that the Eagles and Nick Sirianni are a second half team. It doesn't know what it wants to do, and it tries to figure it out throughout the game. It's just like a lightning bolt of like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this and putting up with this. I can't believe it. You know that this really does belong on Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, and those two are making the decisions. And a lot of the time, you know just as well as I do that dude is just like Jerry Jones, and Howie is probably there to make sure it's not a disaster, but he follows through with Jeffrey, and that's why they've had this relationship forever. It has to be a good amount of that, along with Howie doing what he does. Fellas, trying to find Andy Reid again, which I don't think you're doing, by the way. I would like to get back to that again. I would like to be excited about, holy shit, Ben Johnson's coming. And he and Kellen Moore make sense to me because they've got great ideas together. Holy shit, that makes me feel great. Someone that has their own ideas. And in order for that to happen, boys, you have got to put down your fucking swords, or at least let Julian in the goddamn building, because God, fellas, like bowing down to Bill Belichick right now actually sounds like shit to me after a year and a half of talking about it and thinking, you know what? That's not a bad idea. No, that sounds fucking terrible to me. That sounds terrible. And the best thing that this Eagles team is going to do, because there is no way that Nick Sirianni is staying, and I'll still keep it in the back pocket because we never know with this team, and I don't really believe that this is mostly Jalen Hurts' fault, even though there's definitely fault with him here. I do think that they're going to move on from Nick Sirianni, that Vic Fangio is going to stay on as head coach, and Kellen Moore will clearly run his offense, right? And there might be some bridges in there, and Stoutland will still be here, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's where I see this going. You don't wait this long for Vic to do all this stuff, right? Just like I can't dismiss that they could move on from Jalen, even though I think that's so low. But that Kenny Pickett contract does make it very manageable to kind of bite a bullet for Jalen Hurts, even though if they're not ready for it on the cap or whatever, to just kind of rip off the Band-Aid. And you lose A.J. Brown when that happens. That guy is not staying around for sure. So I really doubt that happens. And it could just be that has too much power. There's nothing that Nick can do, and he's kind of stuck. And if it is, that sucks, and it's shitty. I get it. But this cannot remain constipated. It's got, I think he is the reason why they are. He is that big fucking emotional eating 2 Whoppers, 2 large fries, and a Dr. Pepper. We've all been there, You spend a week trying to get that thing out. He's fast food. Right? He makes you happy at first, and then as time goes on and you eat more and more of it, you just realize it's empty calories. And I do think it's ridiculous that everyone is so upset that they brought his kids to the press conference. I do think that is ridiculous. But outside of that, I'm with everybody else. I'm so annoyed by chirping at the fans, to the point of which there is a Reddit post out there that was posted on Twitter last night from Eagles Nation, and I don't know if you saw that or not, but it is spun fan fiction, it looks like to me, and it doesn't match up with anything that Nick Sirianni said in his press conference and basically apologized for yesterday. But this fan swears he wasn't being rude or mad or anything like that, and all you got to do is look at Brandon Graham's face the moment that Nick Sirianni opens his mouth again, and it wasn't just like, oh, hey, I listened to you, man. No problem. See, I told you we were going to run the ball, which is basically what the Reddit post said. No. Sorry if I don't believe that the guy that shaved his head, that can't take a shit with his offense, was just razzing a fan and saying, see, I told you we'd run, bro. No. And you didn't anyway. Jalen Hurts threw a fucking dart to A.J. Brown in the game. So I don't believe you. I have wanted so badly to do a pump-up speech, to just kind of feel this like, all right, they're going to figure this thing out. And no, they're not. And I'm sorry to be the one to say that. They are not going to figure this out. I am sure there will be phenomenal games just met with losses. A.J. Brown has a phenomenal performance. Devontae Smith has a phenomenal performance. Jalen Hurts is immaculate in a loss. Whatever. I just feel like every single headline is going to start feeling like that. Every show is going to start sounding like and looking like that. We all know, okay? We all know. We don't want the season to end. God, I really wish these guys were Super Bowl contenders, and they're not, and they're not going to be, okay? They might go on a fun run, get into the wild card, go to the divisional round, creep into the NFC Championship, go to the Super Bowl. I don't know. That's always a possibility. That has not been proven true with a Nick Sirianni coach team, as evident by the first year, the year after the Super Bowl, and where we're heading now. This team needs prune juice, a prune juice smoothie. And the only way to do that is moving on from Nick Sirianni. And I just there's no way that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman do that in the middle of potentially a playoff team, because the team it is too talented. It's too talented to look like this. It needs fresh ideas. And maybe that's just being simple ideas. The things that you and I have been talking about for weeks now. This is Saquon's team until it's not in the first quarter. Then let's start throwing slants. Then let's start throwing bombs. Then let's start throwing mesh, 3-level, all the things that started to work in the second half of this game, honestly. Just run fucking mesh. We're right back to Chip Kelly again. Just run mesh, run tempo, because Jalen Hurts looked pretty comfortable doing that. And again, defensively, same thing. Wait and see. There's superstars over there. Darius Slay's going to be hurt for a while. Isaiah Rodgers is Isaiah Rodgers. I thought Ringo actually played pretty well. Defensive line played pretty well. But it's the same gripe. It's still the same gripes. CJ is going to get somebody killed or taken away an interception from Quinyon Mitchell, and Quinyon Mitchell being pissed about it. Righteous gripe, by the way. Righteous fucking gripe. But that should tell you a lot about where this locker room is at. And again, don't think CJGJ is a long-term fit with Vic Fangio. That's another reason why I do believe that Cooper DeJean is probably going to take over that spot at some point. They're just, there's a contract in the way. And I'm not saying CJGJ is playing bad. He just makes terrible mistakes, and you can't have that as a safety. You're the safety, dude. If you want to go ball hawk, you better be fucking down in the box. Otherwise, cut the shit. Stop trying to be the superstar. Be the support. It's what you're fucking paid for. God damn this team, guys. I've got a lot of anger and vitriol, and I think it's well placed. You tell me if I'm crazy or not. Join down in the Discord. You can always find me there. That's in the bottom of the description of this podcast, at John Barchard on Twitter and on Instagram as well. Be sure to follow Wrapping Papered as well for me. I'll tell you more about that later. That's in the description of this podcast as well on Instagram, something I'm involved with, and I'm very, very excited about that. Also, get in the Discord because we just announced our next tailgate adventure, which is going to happen on November 3rd when the Jaguars come into town, and you are going to be able to taste the Chase U Lot Lager for the very first time. That is a beer I created with the wonderful Chase U, and follow him if you don't know who he is. You'll find him on TikTok and Instagram as well. Free beers, amazing food. People from MMR are going to be there. It's such amazing time, and that information is in the Discord right now, which again is down below there. I will catch you on Thursday. Hopefully we'll have some happy thoughts. Go Cooper DeJean. Go Quinyon Mitchell. That's something we could be positive about forever. And go Birds. See you guys.